legendary player for the Heels. Tyler Hansbrough joins us from Chapel Hill. Tyler, good morning, man. How you doing?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
All right, let's get right to it. Golf game. What's been the latest on the golf game?
Playing a lot of golf. If I could putt, I'd be really good. But I'm about an 8 right now, so it's definitely improving.
Ooh, an 8. You hear that, West Durham? That's member guest territory right there when a guy has an 8. I'm just telling you.
I know enough prospects in the golf game in that area, though. I just want to know who are your competitors, because there are a lot of would-be golfers that hang out in Chapel Hill in the summer. So who you teeing it up with, and who's done a lot of talking and yet not a lot of putting, as they say?
Well, my number one competitor is I've got to call Wes Miller out, which he's pretty competitive, and he's a good trash talker too. So we've been going back and forth a little bit. Bobby Frazier gets in the mix. Former walk-on teammate Dewey Burke, who's actually a 1, who's really good, and he's tough to compete with. But that's why he's my partner usually when we play golf. So.
All right. Before we get to basketball and the real stuff,
Pac,
hold on a second, Wes.
Hang on a sec. Hang on, Pac. Hang on. Dewey Burke, better known as Biscuits, because Dewey was the guy that hit the shot to usually put Carolina over 100 when Hansbrough played, and that meant everybody got free Bojangles the next day, Pac.
That's right, biscuits.
And who doesn't like a good biscuit? All right, before we get to hoops, Hansbrough, here's the deal. I'm going to allow you to have the ultimate North Carolina foursome. Who would you have on there? You can bring back anybody you want.
Ooh.
For me, I would have Phil Ford. He's probably my favorite Tar Heel. I think from a player's perspective, he laid a great foundation for everyone after him. Phil Ford, I would definitely say Antoine Jameson would be in the mix. That's tough. It's tough to leave Michael Jordan out. I'm excluding myself, to be honest with you. I'm not going to put myself in there. But Ty Lawson would be hard to leave out. I played with Ty. I think Ty did some great things. Sean May, definitely. James Worthy. So all those guys would be in the mix for me.
Hey, Tyler, you do know a foursome is 4 guys. I mean, you're bringing 11 to the table
I know,
here.
When you played at Carolina.
That's funny.
Hey, all right. I said going to break that North Carolina lost a semifinal game in the ACC tournament to Georgia Tech in Washington in 2005 it was. And yet I remember Roy Williams saying a handful of months later, maybe a couple of years later, that it was probably an okay day because that's the day they knew for sure that Tyler Hansbrough was coming to play at Carolina. And, I mean, do you think about, Carolina lost a hard game that day. By the way, went on to win the national title in St. Louis that year. But you committed to Carolina and told Coach Williams you were coming. Do you think about, okay, there's the parallel, and all of a sudden, 4 years later, you're one of the greatest Carolina players ever?
Yeah, Coach Williams recruited me especially hard. Joe Holliday, the assistant coach, was out and recruited me a lot too. And so we had a big game on the same day that they had played Georgia Tech in the ACC tournament. And so I called Coach after the game, and we had a big win. It's probably one of the biggest wins in my high school career, and so it was big for our town too. So I called him to let him know that we'd won, and I was coming to Carolina. So it was a real special day for me. But yeah, I didn't realize they had lost to Georgia Tech, to be honest with you. And so I guess that made Coach feel a little bit better.
Tyler, I get in an argument with my old man, Billy Packer, all the time about the Gerald Henderson play. And I know he said, it was just a hard foul. I'm like, come on, man, you crazy? It was off the top ring rope. What do you remember about that play the most?
The most? Well, to be honest with you, when I got hit in the nose, I didn't know who hit me. I was pretty upset. And so I didn't realize how bad it was until I had watched the replays. There's a big debate. If you ask me personally, do I think it was a cheap shot? Absolutely. But we've gotten over that. We've talked, me and Gerald, and so it's way behind us. But I'm glad that they grabbed me, because I probably would have gone after the wrong person in the Duke huddle if they would have let me go at
it. It's funny though, because there are two Carolina bigs that have like this iconic moment against Duke in the rivalry. It's you and Montross, and it involves both of you being bloodied. I haven't quite figured out that of all the great things you did at Carolina, all the great things Eric did at Carolina, you guys, bleeding is kind of your moment, which seems weird to me.
Yeah, and it seems to be the moment that everyone wants to talk about. It's not the national championship, or when I go and talk to a camp, there's always a kid. I'm like, you weren't even alive when I was playing. How do you know I broke my nose like that? And the question is, hey, did it hurt? And he's like, well, absolutely it hurt. But, yeah, everyone remembers that moment. I like to see it because, the rivalry is what it is. And it's a significant moment, especially Montross, especially when I was watching the commercials growing up or in college. It's always one of those moments that I like to look at with Montross. And so it's in a way, it's good for me to see myself in that category in a weird way.
All right, I'm going to take you down another path that has nothing to do with winning a national championship, and that is when you make that trip 9 miles down the road to go to Cameron Indoor, there's got to be a smile on your face going, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's great. Duke's awesome. Nothing but respect. But you know what? Never lost in the joint. Never, ever lost in that place.
Oh, yeah. I take great pride in that. I don't go to Duke much, but when I do go there, that's always on my mind. And it wasn't something that I really thought about a lot in college until after college. I just knew that when we were about to play Duke, I wanted to win no matter where it was. But, especially the fact that we did it, beat them 4 years in a row at Cameron was something special and something I always look back. And if I do go to Duke or go to Durham, there's always a smile on my face knowing that we came over there and, went undefeated there.
Tyler, if you had to pick a moment from your 4 years at Carolina, is there that moment? I'm sure Detroit is special. I would completely understand that, and winning the national title and beating Michigan State. But beyond that national title, is there a moment for you about your career at Chapel Hill?
Yes, there is. And I would say my freshman year, when we went to Cameron, we won on their senior night. And the reason it was so special is because before the season, a lot of people have wrote us off and didn't really expect much from us. And I know Duke was a powerhouse that year. They had JJ, they had Sheldon, and I'm not sure what they were ranked. They were one of the top teams in the country, and not a lot of people thought we were going to accomplish something. And my freshman year, I felt like we were a team that had a chip on our shoulder and wanted to prove a lot of things. Myself, Bobby Frazier, Wes Miller, Rayshon Terry, Quentin Thomas, all those guys, we went over there and won on their court, and it was a special moment. It's probably my favorite win besides the national championship in my career at Carolina.
Tyler, when you look back at your career, is there ever a time that you get a kick out of? Again, you guys are probably too busy to worry about something you may hear on the radio, something on a message board, something you hear uttered at a ball game as you're doing a warm-up drill. Hansbrough's on the line. He gets every call. I mean, there's got to be 1,000 of these, right? But is there one that you look back at and say, you know what, that I got to admit, that was really, really funny?
There's, the fact that sometimes I never shot I think there's a few games that I didn't shoot a free throw. But I know everyone wants to say I got a lot of calls and went to the free throw line a lot. But there were some games where I didn't even shoot a free throw. For as physical as I played, sometimes I laugh about that. And I know people are going to think I'm crazy for saying that, but I still think about that at times.
No,
You know
wait a
what?
minute.
The
I want to
free
wait,
throw
wait, Wes. I want to follow up on it. I'm not letting Hansbrough off that easy because I'm telling you, I could read this guy through the lens right now. There had to be something that your teammates, somebody got a hold of you and said, "Psycho, guess what, man? They are killing you on the message board at NC State." Or, man, those folks at Duke can't wait to get all over your case because you know what? You're going to shoot 22 free throws. I mean, there's got to be something in 4 years that you can look back and say, yeah, I can tell you now. I couldn't say it then, but I can tell you now. There's got to be something.
I used to get a lot of comments about traveling. People thought I traveled a lot, took too many steps in the post sometimes. I can't narrow it down to one thing that would be TV appropriate. There was a lot of things that were said. I would say Maryland and NC State would say the worst things that you could possibly think of. And I think half the reason is because Maryland, we always played late games or we had an afternoon game. It seemed like the students, the co-eds, were always up drinking right before the game. They just come in there and just say whatever they want. And I couldn't even think of some of these things that they thought of, so I would just laugh them off.
That's what I was looking for right there. That's what I was trying to find underneath the rock. It's always about either NC State. That's why I miss Maryland. I gotta be honest with you. I know they've gone to the Big Ten, but man, you'd go up there, man. It didn't matter what decade. Anything on Tobacco Road that was good at Maryland was intense. That's just the way it was.
Maryland was always a tough game, and their fans are unbelievable. It seems like I would always watch when Duke went and played there. When we went and played there, they were always ready. It seems like they always played their best whenever we went up there.
Hey, I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to finish this by saying that, I was doing Georgia Tech when you played at Carolina. So when the Jackets and Tar Heels would play, and my wife grew up a Georgia Tech fan, we'd end up at my mom and dad's house maybe the night before the game or something like that, or we'd go eat somewhere in Chapel Hill or in Atlanta. It didn't matter. And one night, Pack will love this. We sat down to eat, and my dad's first words are, "You wouldn't believe all these people that think Tyler's traveling when he gets the ball at the block." And my wife went, "He does." And the next thing I knew, it was like, wait a second, we're not going to start tonight with that. So just so you know, it crossed over all the boundaries. Okay, just so we're fair.
Oh, that is great. I remember when I dunked on King George. I was in the media room taking questions. Someone asked me if they thought I walked. It was one of the first questions. I was like, "That's what you took out of that whole play? Is my first couple steps out of that whole thing?" And I just laughed because you could make an argument that maybe there was a walk at the beginning of that play.
That's so funny. By the way, before we let you go, I know you've been playing professionally in China. What's the best thing you've had to eat in China?
Wow.
Ooh, spicy noodles are unbelievable in China. I played in Sichuan last year, which is a great city, great spice. So the food in China has been unbelievable. I don't know what everyone else's experience is, but that's always the first question someone asks me is how's the food in China. But it's pretty good. You can get some different stuff there too if you want to go look for it. But I'm not going to go and venture too much outside of my comfort zone with the food in China. So I kind of stay in my little territory, and it's been great.
Very good. Well, stay healthy, man. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me,
Thanks,
guys.
Tyler. Mm-hmm. All right, Tyler Hansbrough here on the Tar Heel Takeover.